Hey gang, this is Wyatt. I want to talk about BCMS instructional practices for this upcoming school year. You guys did an awesome job last year. I mean, everybody was busting their tail and we got the results. I know that we didn't get that B per se, but y'all, we were right there. We were just a couple students away from being a B school. And so you know what, I'm claiming it. We did a good job. We just got to do a little bit more work. And so this year I like to say we are on our way to an A. And so this video will help kind of clear up some misconceptions. Maybe you've heard through the grapevine about the new curriculum map initiative that we're kind of taking, and how that relates to your lesson plans and what the lesson plan checklist is going to look like. So I just want to kind of lay some things out for you. This past year, guys, we had data-driven instruction. Everybody in every core subject was regularly benchmark assessing their students and using that to drive instruction. And so at the end of the school year last year, we were kind of talking to admin and just kind of what ways we could do to improve. And I got with some teachers and said, look, the lesson plans this past year were a little confusing. There was the plans for bubble students. There were instructional proof that data was driving the instruction. There was the data analysis tool, and there was just a lot to it. And so out of me kind of brainstorming with the admin and Naomi and I started talking about it, and then we talked to Tom, Ashton, Wayne, and then we got with some. I reached out to some teachers and was like, "Hey, come, let's figure out how to make this easier on the teacher, but also get the result that we're wanting." And so from that came this new curriculum map. So I want to talk about that. Curriculum maps are designed for continuous planning for learning. And so I love the graphic here on the screen. You have your learning outcomes, then what is the outcome? What do I want the student to be able to know? And then what is the process? How am I gonna fulfill that outcome and an assessment process? How am I knowing that the student knows what I want them to know? And so the new curriculum map, which I just love, really kills a couple of birds with one stone. First of all, it satisfies the state's requirement that curriculum maps be posted on the school district's website. And so the state has brought that down, that parents need to be able to see what standards are covered, when they're covered, and how they're being covered. And so on this new template, which everybody has access to, in fact, some folks already got started on it over the summer, page 1 and page 2 will be what is posted to the district's website. Page 3 will not. That is private, and we'll go over that in a moment. So not only does it satisfy the state's requirement, but also it encourages this collaboration between your grade level department, and it creates a culture of data-driven instruction. And I'm so excited about it. And so let's take a look. So let's use me as an example. I taught 7th grade U.S. history. So my cohort was myself, Cindy Hawkins, Russ Langley, and Sean Mahan. So in theory, we're creating the framework together. So we're going to do page 1 and page 2 together. And so we'd get down and let's say the unit of study was colonial America. Let's look at those standards. We all need to be unpacking those standards. And so not only am I just copying and pasting, we can do that, but we need to be talking about them. What does the state say that student needs to be able to do? And then I love the prerequisite knowledge section. I think that's a very nice touch to cultivate this talking about student learning and this continuous cycle. Think back to the graphic, that continuous cycle of planning for learning. And so the prerequisite knowledge is, what does that kid have to know? Well, for me in colonial America, it's helpful that that the student understands that a colony belongs to another country, but it's not in that country, it's in another place, and things like that. And so that's where you kind of have fun with your team and you start talking about those things. And so can I start this unit yet? Do my students know this information? Do I need to do some reteach? Secondly, we have content vocabulary and academic vocabulary. Folks, we've got to stay on vocab, and some of you guys are really good at that. Content vocabulary is subject specific. Academic vocabulary are those testing verbs. Think back to those David Davis days when I was in middle school. Everybody had an FCAT verb wall. Those FCAT testing verbs. And so this is kind of what that is. We're not saying you have to post them, but we do want you to hit on them. synthesize, analyze, infer, all of those things. And so we've got to start bumping up the rigor. And I want to talk about that for just a moment. This is not FCAT. This new test that Governor DeSantis has kind of initiated is not FCAT. The rigor of the standards have changed majorly. And that's evident by just reading them. And so, guys, it's going to be so crucial to our future success that every subject, every department, every grade level is looking at the standard. How is it differing from what we have been doing? And how are we going to attack it? How are we going to accomplish it? And so that's the thing. We've got to get out of this is not FCAT. This isn't even FSA. This is BEST, the Florida BEST standards. And so looking at those new standards is going to be crucial. On page 2 are the instructional practices. This is where my daily lesson plan falls. So as far as that 2 weeks in advance, that lesson plan component, it's already built in for you. And so that's the great thing here is that, number one, you're planning with your grade level department. Cindy, Sean, Russ, and me would all plan this out together. What's my daily objective? That can be we will, I will, or that could be students will be able to. How am I doing that? What's my bell work? Everybody needs to be doing bell work. What's my bell work? What are the activities? You can put videos here. You can put links to passages, links to primary sources, whatever. What are my materials and how am I evaluating it? And so again, I'm getting together with my grade level department. We're building the framework. We're unpacking the standards. We're making a plan for learning. How are we going to accomplish this? So that's the framework. Okay. And once we get the framework built, I'll have my own copy. Russ will have his. Cindy and Sean will have their own copies. And it's not going to variate very much. It's not going to be different. Now, it could change slightly based on, do I have a sub? Was there an assembly? Some things are going to be needing to be tweaked. And that's fine because we want it to be a living document. But again, we're all basically on the same page within just a couple of days of each other. And that brings us a world of opportunities when it comes to assessment. And so this assessment page will be your own personal page on your personal copy of the curriculum map, where you can put a data analysis and an action plan of the resources. And by following the curriculum map, by following the lesson plans, my cohort is going to be able to do some incredible things. So for example, if we all take an assessment, and I've got a handful of kids that need remediation, Sean has a handful of kids that need remediation, Cindy has a handful of kids, we can divide and conquer. I can come up with a remediation lesson. And so Sean, Russ, and Cindy on first period, because it depends on your schedule, how it lines up, you can send them to me. I send my kids that need enrichment to them, and we're working together as a team to attack those skill deficits and then build on those skill masters. And so it brings some really exciting options to the table. And so that's the curriculum map template. We're working as a team, we're coming up with the framework, and then we're assessing and making that plan for learning. Again, it's that continuous cycle. Lesson plan checklist. Okay, it has been shortened. Last year there were 12 items, this year it's 6. Homeroom does not have to be included. It's the expectation that it's being done, but you don't have to include it and you don't have to submit it. The curriculum map template takes care of items 1, 2, and 3. Parent contacts are a little bit more concrete this year. We're asking for 25 positive contacts per 9 weeks. Now, I know that seems like a lot, but it's really only about 3 a week. And guys, I'm holding myself to that standard. We all need to be bringing in those stakeholders in a positive way so that on the day little Johnny isn't doing his work or I need that parent, I've already made those positive deposits. And so the conversation is probably going to go really well. And also your MTSS documentation will need to be included as well. We are an MTSS district. It's not going away. We need to be documenting interventions and we need to be brainstorming to come up with ways to help these kids. And so just a reminder, MTSS documentation forms are found in the Z drive on your computer. Z is in zebra. Let's talk about walkthroughs for a moment. Walkthroughs are not gotchas. When I was a teacher, oh gosh, it used to make me so nervous when an administrator would come in and I'd stop teaching and say, what do you need? Do you need something? And that's not the point. The point of a walkthrough is for us not to disturb the learning environment and for us to be able to know what's going on this campus, what are ways that we're doing things very well, and what are some ways that we can improve based on a teacher to teacher basis. Guys, we are all on a continuous improvement cycle. That's teachers, that's support staff, that's administrators. We're never going to reach that pinnacle where we've made it. Now, things get easier as the years go by. I know that from being in the classroom. You feel like you're reaching that level, like you're in a groove, you know what's going on. But we can always look for new ideas on how to do things. And so the feedback form has changed. It was that long Fundamental 5 walkthrough form. We've changed that. This is simply you're doing this great, or what do you think about this? A praise or suggestion. Not only do we want to know what's going on this campus so that we can make improvements where there needs to be, but also like look at people who do things really, really well and point those out to new teachers or teachers who need new ideas. Off the top of my head, Angela Callahan is a master at Socratic seminars, and that's digging deep into student thinking, where students think about their thinking. And so I need to know that, so that if somebody is like, hey, my kids aren't discussing how I need them to do, or they're not grasping it like I want them to, I can be like, hey, Angela, do you mind if I send such and such down there? And, Janet Waller, the exit slip, or, Brandy Stair on classroom management, just people that do things well, we want to be able to share that. Because again, we all have one goal. There's not a negative competition going on here. We are working together. If I have something that works really well, I want to be able to share that with people. And so again, walkthroughs, please don't stop teaching because we walk in. We are not a distraction. We don't want to be a distraction. We don't want to be a hindrance. If we need you, we'll let you know, but please don't interrupt that learning just because we're in there. That is not what we want. We want to see all the good things that are happening. Everybody got a copy of this Ways of Work. The last couple of years, Mr. Hill has had an umbrella in that back to school PowerPoint, and it's called Ways of Work. And it's quality instruction, professional integrity, culture of care, and communication. And what does that look like? Multiple people have come to me this year and they're like, I don't know what we want. I don't know what do you guys want? And so we kind of hammered that out this summer, where we just kind of listed out what those things look like. And so we've laminated it for you. Please take the time to read those. Guys, if we're doing all of these things and doing them well, that A is going to come. We won't even really have to go out of our way in a major way to do anything to get an A. Like if we're providing standards-based, data-driven quality instruction every day, if we are professionals, if we are effectively communicating with everybody, if we're building that rapport with students, y'all, the results will come. And so we're at a really exciting time. We're in the right direction. And, I can't wait to see it come to fruition. We're a family here. If you guys have anything that you need clarification on, if you have suggestions, pointers, reach out to one of the admin and let them know. I'm so excited about the school year. I love you guys. See you soon.